Welcome to Custom Translator Quick Start Training. This is Mohammed Al-Ghazali. I'll be leading you through this training. The objective is to teach you the Custom Translator terminology like Workspace, project, model, and more along the way, what they are, what they mean, and how to use them. I will help you learn how to build your own custom engine, how to upload training data, how to create, train, and deploy your custom model. And then I will show you how to request translation from your custom model. Along the way, I will touch upon some common issues that people run into when they upload data, or if the model quality is not that good, how to spot those and how to fix them along the way. So to build a custom model, you will have to start with acquiring a translator resource key. The translator resource key, which I'll show you how to create that, it will look something similar to this alphanumeric character. And please pay attention that does not have any dashes in between, because the Azure account subscription would actually have dashes, and sometimes customers, they tell me I'm not able to create a workspace, and then when I look at the resource key they're using, they are actually using the Azure subscription key, not the translator resource key. So let's go ahead and create one, because we will have to start there to be able to create a workspace. So the assumption here is that you already have an Azure account, and you will be able to create a translator resource key. So you click on create a resource. In the search box, you type in the first 4 characters of translator, and you'll see one immediately, and you just click create. If you have more than Azure subscription, you can select the one that you want the key to be charged to. In my case, I only have one, so I'm going to pick the default. And then you would select, if you have an existing resource group, all Azure resources will have to be placed in a resource group. So if you have one, go ahead and select it. If you don't, just create one. In my case, I already have one, so I'm going to use it as the default. The resource region is very important. If you have a requirement to keep your customer data in a particular region, just go ahead and select a region from the list that we are providing today. If you don't, a good choice would be just to pick global. But once you decide on the region, the resource key that will be created will be paired with that region, so you cannot change it. You have to create a new resource key, and you have to come back here. Next, you have to give it a name. So just give it any name you want. In my case, I'll just use CT demo dash key 2, because I already have key 1. And very important that you need to pick the price tier. If you're just taking the custom translator for a spin, go ahead and select free. But if you want to build large models, so you would, at minimum, you select the standard S1, which is the pay as you go model. You look at the data, it looks good. So you click on review and create. And while it's coming back, just make sure that you have the right subscription, you have the right resource group, the correct resource key region, and the name, as well as the price tier. That looks good to me, so let's go ahead and create that. It will crunch. It'll come back hopefully very quickly. It depends on the usage. And once it's done, then I'll be able to go to the resource like so. To get the key, you actually need to create on this blade keys and end point. I'll click on show the keys. Of course, after I'm done, all these will be deleted, so you won't be able to use them. And this is how the key is going to look like. So go ahead and copy one. You can use either one of those. If you have a requirement that you want to have to provide translation requests for different end user groups, and you want to charge those end users, so just create more keys and assign a key to those end users. So I'm going to take this one right here, I have the key, so let's go ahead and continue with our presentation. The next step is you need to create a workspace. The workspace, it is a container that will contain all your models, will contain all your data in the region that you selected. And if you are a first-time user, then you would, if you're a first-time user, you will have to agree to the terms of service. So you check this box right here, you click on agree, and it will tell you that welcome, and then you click on create new workspace. When you click on the create new workspace, that will take you into a panel where you would start typing in the workspace you need, and you add the additional information that would be required. You type in the workspace name, any meaningful name that you want, and click next. We provide two kinds of keys: a translator text key, similar to the one that we've created, or an all-up cognitive services key. That means that you are going to use translator, you're going to use speech, and other cognitive services. In our case, we're going to pick the default, which is translator text. Remember the region that we selected? In my case, actually selected global. And if you selected something else, then you just select that one and then paste the key that you copied. Okay. What if you made a mistake and you forgot what the subscription region or the text translator region that you picked? Let's go ahead and pick one, just like East Asia. And it's going to, this is not correct, but let's see what the system does when it finds something that is not matching. We'll try to create it, and then it'll come back and say, key is either invalid or does not use the region provided. Well, I know that the Azure subscription key is valid, which is the translator key, and I know that the region is incorrect. So let's go ahead and correct the region, okay, and do save, and that should go nicely and create the workspace that we need. Again, the workspace, that's the workspace, and we'll drop you into the workspace that, so let's go there. So that's the first thing that you're going to see. Then you need to create a project. Project, it is, think of it as the language pair engine that you want to create. And inside the project, that's where you will actually load you'll select the language pair, you select the categories, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and create a project. And it's good to name it something meaningful about what this project or what this language pair engine is going to do. In my case, it's just kind of like a demo. And I usually like to use the language pair that will be of my choice. So in my case, I'm actually going to use English and German. And again, I need to select English and German. And then I need, here you can actually pick any category that you need. In my case, I'm going to create general. Category is is a nice way to group all the engines that are related to a particular category. So in my case, when I create general, I'll be just the general domain. I'll come back to when you would want to use the project label. In the meantime, you can put any description that you want for the project itself, and you can put a description for the category. And at any given time, you can actually change the description. But once you create the project, you cannot change the language pair and you cannot change the category. Those are there's a restriction on that, and I will show you why that restriction, okay? Because we use them to create a unique key that will define your custom engine. On the other hand, the project label, it is useful when you want to create multiple projects for the same language pair and the same category. You still need to make a distinction between them. That's when you add a language, when you would add a label. So let's go ahead and create the project. Once the project is created, because I don't have any data, so the first thing is going to drop me into, you need to start uploading files. Okay, the notice this is the category ID. This is a unique ID that we'll be using when we make a translation request, and this entire key must be copied and pasted to your CAT tool that you will be requesting translations from it. Okay, and you remember the category that we picked, and this is, we call it the workspace ID. The workspace ID and the category, both of them are concatenated string that becomes your category ID. And if you add a label, it will actually be between these two right here. You'll see it later. So let's go ahead and upload files. When you upload files, there are 5 types of documents you can upload. Before I get into it, please pay attention to this. Maximum file size allowed is 100 megabyte. So any document that you are going to upload, any single document, the maximum size of that single document would be 100 megabyte. Otherwise, the upload will fail. So now let's talk about the document type. Training. Training, it is the most common used one, and whenever you want to teach your terminology to your custom model, you need to upload training data, and the training data has a minimum limitation that you would have to have 10,000 parallel sentences, that is source and target. So in the source, well, in our case is English, you need 10,000, and in the target you need 10,000 as well. That's the minimum. Okay, I'll come back to it why we impose this minimum restriction. The next document type is testing. And testing, we use the testing document once the model is trained, and just right before we allow you to deploy it, we actually use that test document, which is the holdout document, to bounce it against your custom model, and we record a blue score. Please pause the video at this point and search for blue score in machine translations to get more knowledge about what blue score is. And we report 2 blue scores for you. One against our baseline model, the one that you use to customize, and your own custom model. And I will show you what those are, and what are the rule of thumb that you need to be aware of that will give you some indication that you have good quality model. And again, the testing document, we only use it once. It does not go in your training and does not go into your model. And for this reason, if you decided to upload your own testing document, please make sure that the sentences in the testing document does not exist in your training data. Otherwise, your model will not generalize, and that is a condition, we call it overfitting. Okay? And tuning, it is similar, but this is part of the training. The 4th type of document and the 5th one are the dictionary. There is subtle difference between phrase dictionary and sentence dictionary. The phrase dictionary is case sensitive. I like to use the phrase, it is an exact find and replace. Okay. Sentence dictionary, on the other hand, it's case insensitive. And as the name suggests, it is actually a sentence, and you will get to see an example of that as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and select training. You are using archive like the translation memory or Excel. Many of our customers are likely to use those because frequently they are inherently aligned. So you don't have to worry about sentence alignment in the data that you upload. Okay, so let's go ahead and select training. Okay, so there are parallel data upload and there is an archive data upload. In the parallel data upload, it means you have a single file that will contain your source data, another single file that contains your target data. And we'll give you an indication what is your source. In my case, because I created English to German, So here you would need your English side and here your German side. So let's pick the English side. And the Word document is one example, and I always like to name my files when I'm doing parallel upload. I always like to know which side is which. So in this case, I always like to use this column convention, which is kind of like dash en to tell me that this is the English side, and the underscore, I'm sorry, it's an underscore, the en and underscore de to know which side. So let's pick the English side. And let's go ahead and pick the German side. Okay, and you just name it anything you want. I always like to use the same name here. Okay, and you do an upload. Please always click on view the upload just to make sure that it was successful, because if you run into a problem, then I'll show you how to look at that problem, and I'll show an example of that. So this looks good, and that was able to upload it successfully. Okay, so at this point, basically we uploaded data, but do we have enough data to actually train a model? Okay, the next step is to create a model. So you click on create a model, but before you do that, you need to select the data that you would want to use. In our case, I only have only one. All right, and I know that this file or the amount of data is not enough to train a model, because remember I said 10,000, and what we have here, we only have 593 parallel sentences. So for fun, let's see if we can create one. And oh, by the way, we'll tell you basically how much it will cost you to actually train the model, which is based on the number of characters inside your training data set or inside the files that you selected. Let's see what happens. Aha, so it came back and says you need a minimum of 10,000 training sentence pair, which I already know. Okay, so we need to bring in more data. All right, let's add some more data. In this case, let's show another flavor of the archive. In the archive, it's TMX, which is the translation memory. It can be XLFI and XLIF. It can be an XLSX. It can be a zip file, and I will show you a combination of those. And so let's go ahead and grab the translation memory. Many of our customers like to use translation memory, again, because of the pre-aligned sentences that they get with it. Okay, and we click that, and we click upload. Notice that I only clicked browse, selected, and upload. Really simple. All right, the same thing for a zip file, and the zip file was actually a very powerful concept. So it is successful, so I don't have to do anything else. Let's go back to the project. Okay, do I have enough data? So let's go ahead and select them, and we don't have enough data. Okay, so let's bring in more data. All right, another example of uploading data, which is very powerful, it is the archive, the zip file. Imagine that you have something similar to this. Look at how many files in here. Let's say that you even have 1,000 of these or 7,000 of these. Actually, one project I uploaded more than 7,000 files. It becomes nightmare if you try to upload them a onesie twosie in the parallel, kind of like the English side and the German side and the next one, so on. So we give this capability. Just select all the files that you want to upload. It can be a Word document. It can be a text document, an HTML document. Okay, I'll mention those again. You just zip them. Very important, the naming convention that you have. You can use the name, the file name can be anything you want. Okay, underscore, and the language code for the pair that you've selected. Here is my English, and here is my German. And notice the file name portion all the way to the underscore, they are identical. If they are not identical, that particular pair will fail. And we'll try to do as much as we can to be successful. And when something fails, we'll actually highlight that either 2 documents failed, 4 documents, 5 documents, based on whatever number of documents that actually failed, and we'll actually tell you what those are that actually failed. So let's go ahead and pick this zip file, choose that, and do upload. And always please go to view the upload itself. Now notice what's going to happen. Actually, you cracked open the zip file. Now these are the documents that you saw in the directory, okay? And they will keep crunching, right? And you will start seeing, we'll take a little bit of that, and you can see that they are successful, okay? And all of them, they will be successful. So you go to the next page just to make sure that they are successful, okay? Okay, and the last one, now we have only 3 pages, all right? So now you have all of them successful. Let's go back to our project and see now if you have enough data to actually train. You'll see that you have more than a page. Imagine that if you have 7, 10, 12, 25, maybe 100 pages, okay? And you want to select all the files without having to basically do a onesie-twosie. So when you click on the name, that will select all the files, okay? And notice again, we still didn't have enough data to actually train, which is fine. I'm going to come back to it, and we're going to bring it the right amount of data for us. But this is very important. If you have hundreds of files that you uploaded, unless you know that you want to use all of them, please do not click on the name from here to select all of them. Just select whatever document that you want, okay, and train with it, all right? And let's say that you don't know which document that you have. If you are in doubt, always do a filter. Look at the document name, start with just enough, if you don't know the full name, just enough characters, and do apply. And that will filter all the files that you uploaded that contains those 5 characters. In this case, they're only kind of like less than a page, so you'll be able to see all of them. This is the beautiful filtering capability, or you can do filter based on the document type. Remember the training, tuning, testing, phrase dictionary, and sentence dictionary. If you uploaded all 5 of them, then you can actually also filter to basically know which one you want to use. Okay, so let's clear the filter. I know we don't have enough, so let's bring in our Top Gun so we can actually train the model. Again, inside your zip file, you can have TXT, you can have HTML, you can have the HTML, you can have PDF, of course, docx, and .align, which means now we trust you that you have already did your alignment and you don't want us to do alignment. This is very powerful because if you do that work already and you want to save time during the training, if you upload with .align, then we don't run our sentence alignment during training, and we just take whatever you give us and we'll try to train with it. Okay, very powerful. So let's go ahead and get that I know is going to be really big. So let's go ahead and get this training one. Okay, again, it's in the English side and the German counterpart. Okay, and I just kind of like name it training one, right? And you upload it. Excuse me. And just let's look at it together until it finishes. And it's successful. So let's go ahead back to our to the project and see if we can create. Again, because I already know that I'm going to use all of them, so I'm just going to select that, right? And I still didn't have enough. Wow. So let's get some more. All right. All right, this time and we need to bring in the second part of that, which I know it contains less than 5,000. Okay, and we'll do the journal side as well, and we name it training training 2. Okay, and again, just view it just to make sure that it looks good, and we're there. So before we do the actual training, I know this time is we're going to have plenty, so this will actually train. But what if you said, if you decided that you really want to change something and you want to reload? So let's look at an example. This file right here. Okay, at any given time, by the way, if you want to look at the data that you uploaded and what we did with it, just click on the file name and we'll show you side by side how we parse that data for you. All right, I'm not going to get into why this is so like this and the misalignment, because that was a Word document that I knew it's not aligned nicely, but just to show you kind of like how it would look like, right? And then you can actually go back and fix that. So I know that this is not a good document to use, all right? So let's go back, all right? And you can actually select this document and download it, and just you will get the text version of it, source and target, and you can fix that, or just like get rid of it, all right, and just use something else. In my case, I actually already know that I have this good example that I uploaded, okay, for the same document because it was nicely aligned, okay. So collect nicely done, side by side, don't have to worry about it, okay. So no, this is not a good document to have. So let's delete it. Notice that when I highlighted the hovered over the name, the trash container came. So you just kind of like deleted and validate. I don't want to train with this document because it's not good. So let's go ahead and select those and let's create one again. So there is almost 15,000 parallel sentences. That is good. It will cost me about $25 plus tax. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a model. When you create a model, you give it a meaningful name, training model. And I always like to use what is the language pair. Yeah. And you will have two options. You have train immediately or save as a draft. If I click create model, that model will go into an immediate training. It will be submitted in the queue for training. It will go through the data processing. We'll go through the data training pipeline, and then once everything is set up and we do the sentence alignment and the tokenizations and whatnot, then we actually start our training, okay? Let's say that you did a lot of work here, but you do not want to train immediately because you know that you're going to bring in more data. So what you do is basically click on Save as a Draft and then create a model. So what happens, basically, we take all the information that you provided and we create just the metadata for that particular one. And the status of that model would be draft. Anytime that you're ready to actually train the model, you just click on it, okay, go into it, and everything will be selected. You can see that all the models, all the data, I'm sorry, all the data were selected. Let's say that you decided for whatever reason, you do not want this data. So you just kind of like uncheck the box. Notice again, it actually dropped that number of data. Let's say I don't want this one either. And I don't want this one either. Okay? So you can see. Now if I click train, it will train with the rest of the data. All right? Again, I'll queue it for training and I will go. Of course, I'm not going to do training here. I just wanted to show you the concept. And you can actually go back and you can upload data if you want. I know. And how you upload data, you go back out to your data tab and upload the data. And when you go back to the model, you'll be able to see the new data as well. All right. Very important to know here, like the PIM, if you want to edit your project information, you click on that and you can change the name, you can add more descriptions, you can change the category description, and you can add a project label. So let's see what happens if just to show the importance of this project label. I'm actually going to go outside a little bit, all right, and I'm going to create a project using the same, okay, must use label, and it's English, German, all right, and go back to German, English. Let's see what happens. Yep, that's what I expected. It's going to tell me basically the project with the same category language pair already exists, and it must use a label. All right, so again, let's create it. We'll use kind of like this time with label English and German. Okay, and we use the English German, and we use the category. Oops, I need this one right here, CT demo, right? And let's create that. Okay, and since you already have documents that were uploaded for the same language pair, you will have access to those as well under the same workspace. So any project that you create here will have, for the language pair, will have access to all the documents for that particular language pair. Okay, notice what happened. The CT demo, this is the label. Okay, and this entire string is a unique category ID that will identify your model when it's deployed, and you will use it to actually request translation request. And for this reason, we will not allow you to have another language pair, same category, because we wouldn't know which model is which. So you have to make a distinction between the two by adding a label to make your custom engine unique in our entire system. Okay, so we're not going to do anything with it. I just wanted to show you how to create the same language pair, the same category with a label. At any given time, you can actually change the label. All right, all you need to do is just gonna click the pen again and change the label. Okay, CT2. Okay, all right, and you see immediately it's actually done. All right, so let's go ahead and show you how to deploy a model. I've already created one just to show you. Okay, and this model right here, after you train the model, it comes back with the status that training succeeded. At this point, you would actually deploy the model. All right, so again, we came to the project itself, which in my case, it's the English German, and I clicked on the model tab, and you will see if you only have one model, you trained one model, it will be that model. If you have more than one models, you will see all of them here, where you can pick and choose which one you want, and I will show you that as well. Right? Before I deploy the model, let's talk about the blue score. I mentioned those early on. So you'll see that there is a blue score and the baseline blue score. You remember the test document that is either that we extracted from your training data and we removed it completely from your training data. All right, we used that test document, or if you uploaded your own, and we requested translation from our baseline model, the same model that you used to customize. Okay, and we report the translation quality as in blue score. Again, this is kind of like a machine to machine. And then we use the same test set and we bounced it against your custom model version of that. and it actually gave us a little bit better, but not a whole lot, not a whole lot. Okay, I expected actually to see better than this for the English to German, but because I know that data is not enough, and I know the data that I've used did not have good quality in there. All right, how did I know that? All right, let's look at the data. All right, we'll click on the model itself. Okay, I'll get some statistics. The sentence dictionary that I use, we're not going to look into it because it's irrelevant. We just take your dictionary and we'll create a lookup table for you, for your source and whatever the target is. Okay, so whenever a translation request comes in, we look at the text inside the translation request and we say, okay, do you have something in your lookup table that you want to replace with your target? And if there's a match, then we basically do the replacement. Of course, we do it in a unique way that is our IP. All right, and again, the dictionary, these two must be identical. On the other hand, the training data, which we are more forgiven, key to notice here. All right, the number of aligned sentences which came out of the training. All right, I always look at what is the percentage between this number or this number and this number. If the gap is more than 10%, all right, it means the data quality is questionable, all right? That it drives it even farther when I look at the used sentences. So this is what we did. We actually looked at your data, these two right here, source and target, and we were able to align 9,368 out of those. We did further alignment and we were only able to use 8,418 parallel sentences that actually made it into your model, that we actually used to train your model. So if you look at the gap, it's definitely more than 10%. That's another reason why the blue score is lower. The rule of thumb is this: the more good quality data you add, the higher that blue score will be. And I'm going to show you that. But this is very important. What if you wanted to look at the data that were actually made it into the model and what test data that we run to get an idea? So you click on the test tab, okay? And the test result, you're going to see three things. You're going to see source, reference, and the actual translation, which is the customer. Source, this is for the source side of your test document. A reference, this is the target side of your test document. And when we did translation against your custom model, this is what came back out of it. And you can see that it's not 100%. That will give you an idea of how your translation is doing, how your custom model is doing with the test data. Okay. If you decided that you want to iterate, you want to add more data, okay, I highly recommend, just to get kind of like an apple-to-apple comparison, that you download this set, the test set, and just when you hover, you'll notice that the download button appears. Okay, so you click on download, it will download it. Okay, and it will be, there you are, right on the top. Okay, so this is the source that you saw, this is the reference, and this is the custom translation. We also give you what the general from our baseline, what the translation looked like, so you can actually compare those two right there. Okay, and if you decided you want to build a new model and you want to measure, please take those two right here and load them as your test document. So at least you will use the exact same test data, and that will be a good comparison between your current model and your new model. Okay? All right. So going back to my project. Okay. So how do you deploy? Once a model is successfully trained, you will actually see a model action which is deploy lit up. When you click on it, right, you are able to, or you will be able to deploy your model in one of three regions, or all three, or two of them. You pick and choose. how do you make your decision? Look at where your end users, if it is only one region, just kind of like flip the switch, you get an undeployed and deployed. So you flip the switch to deployed, which means that model will be deployed in North America. If I flip the switch here, it will be deployed in Europe too. And if I do this, it means it will be deployed in all three regions when I click save. All right, you can pick it and choose whichever you want. All right, but once you do the deployment, because it takes time, I'm going to skip that. But then it will be deployed and will come back and it will tell you that it is deployed. So let me give you an example of how a model that was deployed, how it would look like, and we can take a look at the model blue score as well. You can see that these two projects, they are the same, all right, but I changed the name of the category, so you'll be able to see them kind of like side by side. This is the gap between the blue score. Again, this is your custom model blue score. Why this is huge? By all means, this is really good versus this one right here. Let's go there and look at it. Okay, so I have two models. One that is already deployed by virtue of, the first time it will be just collect deploy, and I switch and I made it deploy. Okay, let's say that if you want to update this model, if you want to deploy the same model but in multiple regions, or remove it from a region. So when you click on the update model action, and you will only see update if the model is deployed. And you can tell here that it is deployed in Europe, but it's not deployed in North America or Asia Pacific. So let's say that I want to kind of like add North America here. So you just click here and you click save. I will actually deploy it also in North America. All right. What if I want to deploy it on all three regions? That's exactly what I do. What if I want just to replace the model in Europe without having to kind of like do this update? This is why we have this swap model. A good example. For whatever reason that you decided that the previous model, which is the first model, has better quality, and you want to swap those two models, right? So remember, this model was deployed in Europe. So I want to bring back the old one because it has better translation quality for whatever reason, all right? Usually it's not the case, but it'll tell it you kind of like know what this button does, all right? So when I click on swap, it will actually tell you that it's going to take down the currently deployed model, which is model 2, and will replace it with model 1. And the way it does that, all right, with the minute you hit swap, we are going to start to deploy the first model, all right? And if you have in-flight translation requests, will continue to be served from model 2, okay, until model 1 is deployed successfully and ready to receive translation request. Then we'll direct the new translation request to the model 1, and we'll take down model 2. So this is, we call it a no down time deployment, which is pretty good actually. So you don't have to worry about a downtime gap between swapping two models. All right, that's how you do the swap, how you do the update, and how you do the deployment. There is something always to remember, please, that anytime that you see this note, the 2 pages, when you click on it, means you do a copy. If you hover over a name, you will give you capability to either delete it, so you can actually delete this model if you don't want it. But if the model is deployed, if you try to delete a deployed model, the system will not let you delete it. So let's see what happens. Okay, something went wrong. It's basically unable to delete a model since it's currently deployed. If you want to delete this one, you have to undeploy it, and when it is in the undeployed state, you can actually delete it. So if I click on delete this, it will actually delete it, which is not what I want to do right now. All right. Likewise, anytime you want to make modifications to the project, you click on here. You can actually filter on your data. That's the notion behind it. If you go to the model, all right, and you click on the model here, likewise, you can actually change the model name. This one right here, for whatever reason, if you want to do that, you can actually change the model name. All right. I've shown you the how the data side by side and how this data will look like, and this is the kind of most of the time that's what you will be doing. So now you know how to spot the model that does not have enough data or does not have quality data, with the gap between the sentence or line sentences and the used sentences, and the 10% rule of thumb. Okay, so what if you try to add more data? So let's go back to our training, and let's add data. Let's say I want to bring in more data, and into this model right here, and let me show you how an upload failure could happen. Okay, and how much information we would give you to actually figure out where the failure or where the problem would be. So I'm going to pick on, you can tell that I already named them. So I'm going to pick on the TMX file, and I click on upload. Okay, and view upload. Always please view the upload, and immediately came back and told me that it failed. And will give you meaningful and actionable error message. I'll explain to you why the failure. So in this case, we're saying that there is in the XML for the translation memory, you have a problem. There is a tag, the TUV tag, that was not closed properly between the open TU and the closed TU. What does that really mean? So let's bring in the good file and the bad file side by side so you can see it. Okay, so it is telling me that it is in line 24. So this is the bad one. Here is line 24. Okay, and it's telling me that it's the TUV start tag, and in the TMX schema, you will always start with a TU and a closed TU. That's then you can have as many TUV as you want, and within the TUV you can have as many segments as you want, source and target. Okay, so here's basically kind of like saying it's complaining about the TUV in line number 4. So you look across, you'll notice that there is an open TUV, but there is no closed TUV for it. There's another open TUV and is closed for it. So when you go to the good file that I uploaded successfully, you'll notice that this TUV is missing right there. So immediately we try to help you as much as we can to go quickly and be able to fix your problem. So all you need to do to fix this problem would be just to add the closing TUV, and then save it and upload it, and life is good. All right, let's actually do that. All right, save the file, come back here. Okay. Same one, and it is training. And again, I'm going to pick the one. I know this one is going to upload nicely. It's not going to fail, okay, because I fixed the problem. And do upload, view the upload in progress. All right, and should be successful unless there is another problem. And knowing that there isn't another problem, so it was successful. Great. So at this point, let's go back to our presentation. You have learned how to create a workspace, how to create a project, how to upload the data, and you've seen an example of a translation memory, an Excel, and a zip file, as well as a Word document and in text. In the Excel file, oops, that's not what I want. Okay, I'll come back to it. But in the Excel file, there is a certain format that you need to comply with. We only look at the first sheet in your Excel file, and you would have 2 columns only, okay? And the first row must contain the language pair code, in my case, English and German. Can I swap those? Yes, you can. You can have German first and English second, or vice versa. The the order is irrelevant. What's really important, it is the first row would contain the language pair code for the project that you've created. And then you can have any data that you want to put there. And notice that because it is already aligned, okay, will be nicely considered as aligned. What if you have text data that you want to upload, okay, and but you already know that it is really aligned. A good example, in my parallel upload, I know these two files right here, right? They are pre-aligned. So all I need to do to take advantage of that, I would come to here and I would do rename and change the dot text and make it dot, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I want to change the dot text to dot align, okay? The second pair as well. You need to do both of them, okay? Dot align. So when you give us these two, or if you put them in a zip file, right? When you upload them, we understand that these aligned already, so we do not run them through the sentence alignment during the model training. That's the difference between a text, a PDF, a docx, and so on and so forth. All right. So going back to my presentation, okay. Just to close, to see where we're at. So again, we created the model, and you saw the price and the model details and the test tab, and we did we show you how to do the deploy and how to do the undeploy, and we'll do the request translation. But before we do that, let's look at how you share a workspace and how you pin a workspace and the importance of that. So let's go there, okay? Let's say that you have, you go to the setting for that particular workspace of interest to you. And remember the translation key and the price tier and the region. You can always change the key if you decided that you want to retire a key. All you need to do is basically click on change, but please make sure before you change the key that the new key is valid key, because if you do a change key and you put an invalid key, or if you delete the key, if you have any deployed model, we are going to go and undeploy those models for you. But if you don't have any deployed model, you can change your key, and if it's not the right key, or if you made a mistake in a character, it's okay. You can go back to Azure portal and you can do a copy of the correct key and you can bring it here. All right. What if you want to change the workspace name? All you need to do is kind of like just type in the new name. You click here and you type in new name, right? And when you're done, all right, it changes it immediately. Here it is, and here it is. But what if you have group of coworkers and you want to collaborate? So you have ahead of you have, let's say you want to build 10 engines for 10 different language pair. So what you can do is basically you come here and you do a share and you type in the email alias for your coworkers, John at hotmail.com, and then you assign him the permission you want. If you want them to collaborate with you, be able to kind of like import data and create model, then you give them an editor. And if you want them to kind of like have the full capabilities, then you give them the owner. And if you want them just to read things, not to be able to do any modification, you give them a read. Okay, so let's give John, he's one of my best friends and coworker, so I want him to make, I want him to be an owner on the project like me, right? And there is John. And if you have more names, you just type in the John, the kind of like the alias, the email, semicolon, the next email, semicolon, so on and so forth. All right, and you can do them all at once. At any given time, you can actually change. So what if I decided that, okay, well, John, I want him to be just an editor, right? So you just do it there, and it will take effect immediately. So where are we? All right, let's go back to our presentation. Just to close, we're almost done, right? So we did the deploy and deploy, and we talked about share and pin. Yeah, let's go back there and look at why pin is useful. In the setting, notice that when I came to here, what if you have 10 workspaces, 100 workspaces, okay? And you want to work on a particular one. So instead of keep searching for those, you just pin the workspace. So in my case, I want to go back to the new name, that one I picked, okay? And the setting, all right? And I'm going to do a pin on it. It will tell me that automatically will pin that. And when you sign in, this is the one that will actually be there when you sign in, all right? Let's go ahead and do that, all right? Coming back to my presentation, I go to the custom translator, and it should have the new name, which the one that I pinned, right? Super nice feature that will allow you to kind of like to be very productive. So at this point, basically, we talked about everything here. Last but not least, what if you want to translate? Okay, well, let's go ahead and translate. The easiest one, go and grab yourself this free tool that you have from GitHub, and download the zip file, okay, and install it. MSI, install it, and after you install it, you just launch the document translator, right? And when you launch the document translator, now back to my presentation, when you launch the document translator, you will actually click on settings, and you need to fill out the key and the category ID. The key, remember the Azure translator key that we copied and we used to create the workspace? That's what will go here. That is exactly the key, but of course it will not show up. And the category ID, that let's go to the project, and this is where the category is. So you click on this one right here, and you go back to document translator, and you type it here, okay? You don't need to do anything else, and just click save, and it should say settings saved, ready to translate. This is a good sign that you're ready to translate. So now you can click on translate or translate document. So in my case, kind of like you just click on translate, and it's from English to German, the language, and content type, it's either plain text or HTML. You can actually do that. When you click translate, it will actually bring the translation back from your model. Because I uploaded a sentence dictionary, okay, you would get this Microsoft Custom Translator helps you build translation engine. You would actually get that, and the identical translation here. If it does not exist, and if it is in your training data, it will be likewise. A quick review, you should be able to you know what a workspace is, what a project is, what the model is, you know how to upload data, how to create a model, how to train a model, and how to deploy it, and how to request translation. And I gave you some common tips about data upload issues and the translation quality of a model issue. So all these 7 steps you should be able to do now. Bye.